Dungeon delving is thirsty work. What you need? A wine cellar. Before we get started, there's a few quick tips which will apply to almost any build. Quickly run through those now. For many builds, we'll use these plastic clips to put walls together and things. There's a range of different types, most of them are self-explanatory. There are a few that you should pay a little bit of attention to. We have some slightly shorter versions of the straight clip, and these two in particular can look quite similar. As you can see, they build at different angles, and so if you're finding yourself getting a bit confused by how a corner is going together, it's because you've got two different types of clip and you need to use the correct one for it. The main difference between them is that one forms a right angle and the other doesn't. From time to time you might come across a slot which is a little too tight. It's a good idea to have a craft knife on hand for this sort of thing. You can just slice down the edge of it to adjust the gap, or another good tip is to use a pair of clippers and just snip and adjust, and then you should find you have a nice neat fit. Some of our terrain has half cuts in it. This allows us to add things like opening doors or to create round shapes for things like barrels. The first time you bend these, it's worth taking a little bit of time just to open it correctly. And if you can see here, for this door for example, you just need to make sure you support it the first time you open it to make sure that the bend happens in the correct place, and then your door will open and close without causing any issues with the rest of the wall piece. For most of this work you're going to just be using your hands to pop out the sheets, but it's useful to have some glue, some clippers, a craft knife and a cutting mat just to hand so you can do the certain parts which I'll show you as we go through. This sheet comes with a number of barrels to keep your wine in, some chairs to sit down in, a table to place your drinks on, plenty of storage for your barrels, a grand entrance to your wine cellar, and everything you need for a nice day out in the dungeon. Barrels are nice and versatile and make excellent scatter. To make them, you take this piece and your finger behind to support these half cuts as you bend them into shape until you can form a cylinder with them. And then the best thing to do is to use some super glue. Place a piece on the lid, put it where you want it to be, and then do the same with the other end. And then we're going to set that aside while we wait for the glue to go off. Now that the glue has dried on our barrel a little, it's holding the pieces in place for us. You can then take a little more glue, place it around the tops, and also a small amount of glue along the joining part of the barrel, fold it over, and then you just have to hold it together for a little bit until the glue is set. Sometimes you might want to leave one of the lids off, and that allows you to have an open barrel and you can just store some items in it like this. It's a little bigger, but the chair in this set resembles the ones that we have in our wider range of fantasy terrain. It goes together very easily. You simply slot the seat into the back, and then take the legs, slide them underneath, and as easy as that, you have a chair. Once you have all the barrels, you're going to need somewhere to store them. That's where the barrel racks come in. Got two of them in this set, a larger one and a smaller one. Just make sure you keep the parts separate so you know which is which. They both go together in the same way, which is to slot the end pieces in to have a shape like this. Exactly the same for the smaller one. And then you just need to add some barrels to complete the look. Next we have some storage crates. Be aware there are 2 different sizes, so make sure you've got the right pieces with the right one. These are very simple to put together, and it's just about making a box. You'll just need to glue this part in. There you go. A little crate. I'll just do the other one. And that's both of the crates done. If you're in a wine cellar, you're going to want somewhere to sit down to enjoy the beverages on offer. That's where the table comes in. So for this one, before you get started, you need to have a look at the tabletop and just pop out these areas here. We'll start by assembling the base of the table. You do that just by slotting these parts in like so. As you can see here, we've got the base of the candle. So we're going to use this area where we've got a gap to align it with the wine bottle. That slots it in place at one end, and then we'll carefully work the candle through until it lines up with its base. Do the same with the wine bottle. Then you have a nice sturdy table to have your drinks on. There's also a small round piece which adds a little bit of 3D detail and also helps to lock everything into place even more tightly, and you just slide that on the side of the candle and it completes the look. No wine cellar would be complete without somewhere to store the wine, so we're going to build this wine rack. First step of that is to look for the half cuts, one here and one here. Bend them through, and then take the wine, slot it in from below, and then we'll attach the shelf. You can see there's areas cut out for that, and we slot them into this slot above the wine, and you're done. And just like that, you have your cellar all done.